What's going on, guys? It's New York Prepper here. In this video, we're going to test some 44 Magnum bear loads from two popular companies, Underwood Ammunition out of Illinois and Buffalo Bore out of Idaho. And the ammunition we're going to test are some heavy hard cast loads and a solid copper monometal load. And then we're also going to test a heavy jacketed soft point bullet, and we're going to see what kind of penetration we get. All right, and you guys have seen me do these tests before, and it's going to be the same protocol. I'm going to be shooting into some 2x12 lumber that I cut into 1 foot lengths, and I'm going to shoot into that lumber. We're going to see how many pieces of lumber these bullets can penetrate through, and we're also going to see what kind of weight retention we get. And we're also going to see what kind of expansion we get out of this 300 grain heavy jacketed bullet. All right, so we're going to be testing penetration. We're going to see if these bullets tumble. We're going to see if they maintain a straight line. We're going to see how deep they go, and we're going to see what kind of weight retention we get. Okay, and so I want to just share the stats on these loads here. So on the right, we have the Underwood ammo 305 grain hard cast bullet. This one's supposed to travel at 1,300 feet per second out of a 7.5 inch test barrel. So out of my 2 3/4 inch 44 Magnum, we're going to be losing about 150 feet per second off of that number. So we're going to be more like 1,150 feet per second. Okay, on this one. Okay, the Buffalo Bore is pretty much the same thing as the Underwood. The only difference is that the case is not nickel plated, and it doesn't have a polymer coating on the hard cast bullet. Okay, but both of these have the same stats. They're both going 1,300 feet per second, or actually 1,325 feet per second to be exact. They're both 305 grain bullets. They both have similar meat plats. Okay, the meat plat is the nose of the bullet. You could see that the noses are pretty much the same size. Okay, so they're almost identical. You'll notice that the Underwood is coated with this red color, and what that's supposed to do is prevent lead fouling inside of your bore. And I think it also helps a little bit with controlling lead vapors. Okay, it prevents lead deposits inside of your bore. Okay, and that'll also help reduce lead vapors for practice shooting, especially if you shoot indoors. It may help reduce flash a little bit. All right, but these are pretty much the same velocities, same energy. All right, so we're going to test these two guys and see which one is better, the Buffalo Bore or the Underwood. Now, another thing to keep in mind here with these two is that the Underwood is probably, I would say, 40% cheaper. Okay, the Underwood ammo is about $30 a box of 20, and the Buffalo Bore is about $50 for a box of 20. Okay, now Buffalo Bore uses Starline brass. So, you know, if that could potentially be why they charge a little bit more. So if you're into reloading, you're going to have some premium brass from Buffalo Bore that you can use to reload. Okay. Now, moving on from the hard cast bullets, we're going to go into some other bear loads here. We have the Buffalo Bore 265 grain monolithic metal bullet. This is a solid copper bullet, and it's supposed to be traveling at 1,425 feet per second out of a 7-inch test barrel. So again, out of my 2 3/4 inch snub nose, it's probably going to be traveling closer to maybe 1,250 feet per second. All right, and this is a solid copper bullet. You could see it has a very big nose, kind of like the Underwood and the other Buffalo Bore. Okay, so the profiles are pretty much the same. Okay, And another thing too about these Underwood and Buffalo bore loads is that they have a Brinell hardness of about 21 to 22, so they're pretty hard, okay? And then finally, we're gonna be testing this Buffalo bore 300 grain jacketed flat nose. And this looks to me like this is a Sierra bullet, okay? This is a Sierra bullet. I actually have a whole bunch of these for hand loading, okay? So I know that this is a Sierra 300 grain jacketed flat nose bullet, okay? And it's also going at 1325 feet per second like the hard casts, all right? So we're gonna see what kind of penetration we get with this big, heavy flat nose bullet. We're gonna see what kind of expansion we get and what kind of weight retention, and I'm also curious to see if the jacket and the core stay together or if they separate. All right, I'm very interested to see that. I'm not sure if I don't think these are bonded. My guess is they may have some kind of an interlock ring to keep them together. So let's see what happens, guys, and I'll show you what the test media looks like. All right, guys, so this is what we're going to be shooting at, as you've seen in some of my other videos. This is just a 2x12 Douglas fir framing joists that I cut to 1 foot lengths, and I just screwed them all together. So we're going to shoot into this. We're going to see how many boards they go through, and we'll see a lot of cool stuff. So the distance I'm going to be shooting at is about 5 yards. I normally shoot at 10 yards, but I want to make sure I get some good hits here, so I don't want to increase the margin of error by going further. So we're going to shoot at about 5 yards, okay? So stay tuned, and let's see what happens here. Alright guys, so now we're going to shoot the Buffalo bore 300 grain jacketed flat nose. All right, guys, I'm back home now, and I've unscrewed all the boards, and we had some interesting results for the 44 Magnum here. So the best penetrator out of all of these rounds was the Underwood 305 grain hard cast, and that one penetrated 4 boards cleanly, and it also maintained a straight line. It didn't tumble at all. And some of the other bullets tumbled, and I'll show you guys that. Well, they didn't really tumble. I'm sorry, they didn't tumble. They didn't end up in a straight nose forward position. They were a little bit tilted, and that just tells me that those types of bullets that don't end up in a nose forward position are more prone to tumbling inside of dense tissue. All right, so we had the Underwood 305 grain hard cast penetrating 4 2x12 Douglas fir 2x12s. The Buffalo Bore 305 grain hard cast traveling at the same speed as the Underwood also penetrated 4 boards. However, the Underwood penetrated maybe just a ½ inch more than the Buffalo Bore. Okay, so the Underwood leads the pack. Slightly better penetration than the Buffalo Bore, just by a little bit. And also, I've done this same test with sheetrock, and I'm going to upload a video of that soon. But I've done this test with sheetrock, and also the Underwood penetrated 1 to 2 more sheets of sheetrock over the Buffalo Bore. Okay, so the Underwood is clearly the winner here. So, you know, it's definitely my recommendation for a 44 Magnum factory bear load. The Underwood penetrates better than the Buffalo Bore, okay, or any other round that I've tested. And so the Buffalo Bore 265 grain solid copper bullet, the monolithic solid copper bullet from Lehigh Defense that was traveling at 1,425 feet per second, that one penetrated through 3 boards and almost penetrated through 4. Okay, so we're going to say 3.5 boards. Okay, so pretty impressive. I was expecting it to actually penetrate more than the hard cast, but it is a little bit lighter, so that makes sense. But 3.5 boards for the solid copper 265 grain bullet. So almost the same as the Underwood and the Buffalo Bore hard cast. So still a decent bullet for bear. The only thing with that one was that it wasn't in a nose forward position. It was a little bit canted. So that tells me that the bullet is prone to tumbling. And that's just because it's copper and it's lighter. Lighter bullets tend to be more prone towards tumbling because they have lower sectional density. All right, and then the 2 300 grain Sierra soft points from Buffalo Bore penetrated the same depth as the 265 grain solid copper bullet. So that's very interesting. Okay, so those 300 grain soft points actually penetrated the same amount as the 265 grain solid copper from Lehigh Defense. So my recommendation for you guys is to just skip the 265 grain bullet. It might be a little bit better at penetrating through bone because it's solid copper. So if you have to get a frontal, nervous system shot on a charging bear, the copper bullet may punch through the skull better. But, you can't go wrong with hard cast bullets. I recommend the Underwood, but the Buffalo Bore is another good option. As of the time of filming this video, the Underwood ammo is out of stock of the 305 grain bear loads. However, Buffalo Bore still has their 305 grain hard casts in stock. And the 300 grain soft points, from Buffalo Bore are still in stock as well, and also the 265 grainer monolithic solid. But I would skip the 265 grain solid because you might as well just get the hard cast. It's actually cheaper and it penetrates better. And also the 265 grain hard cast seems to have more painful recoil because it's higher velocity, so it's a little more snappy versus the heavier bare load. It still has hard recoil, but it's not as snappy as the 265 grain. And you might as well just get soft points because they're going to penetrate the same depth as the solid copper. Okay, so we're going to go through these boards one by one here. So this one right here on the top, that's the Buffalo Bore. This is the Underwood. This is the 265 grain solid copper, and then these two on the bottom here are the 300 grain soft points. All right, so I'm going to go through board by board and show you guys the damage here. You can see these giant holes, 44 caliber holes, which are actually 0.429 inches in diameter, and you can see those big holes. Look at that. This Underwood here actually split this board. You can see it split it. Okay. Let's check the back here. Okay, you could see the exit holes are pretty small just because it's they're hard bullets, so they're not going to leave a huge exit hole. All right, here's board number 2. Okay, board number 2, you can see these big entrance holes here. All right, all of them are passing through at this point. All right, let's check the exit holes out here. You could see the wood split here from one of these soft points. I'm imagining the soft point or the 265 grain solid split the wood here. Okay, and here you have the other exit holes, and that's board number 2. Here we have board number 3, which actually split. And so here we have board number 3. The bullets are still going through here at this point. Okay, and really it gets interesting at board number 4. That's where things start to get interesting. Okay, so all of them pass through 3 2x12s, and then board number 4 is where we start to have some of the bullets getting stopped. Here we have the 265 grain bullet, and you could see it's not in a nose forward position because the base of the bullet is facing up, so the bullet is canted downward. So that's not a good sign. That means that this bullet is prone to tumbling. Okay, and that's just because it's a little bit lighter. And here are the 2 soft points stuck inside of the board here, and you can see they left these 2 holes. It actually split the wood here. The one soft point split the wood, and this one just left this big hole here. Okay, so we're gonna pull these guys out, see what kind of expansion we got. We'll see what kind of weight retention we got as well, and we'll see if the core stayed together with the jacket. And then here we have the 2 holes from the hard casts, the Underwood and the Buffalo Bore. Okay, and now here we have the last board. This is the 5th board here, and here you can see that this is what you want to see. You want to see the nose forward position. You see how these bullets are in a nose forward position. All right, this is the Buffalo Bore here, and this is the Underwood here. Okay, and you can see the Buffalo Bore is slightly tilted. But that's not a big deal. That could have just been the angle that I was shooting at. All right, but it's generally in a nose forward position. It's not canted like this, which is what happened with the 265 grain bullet, solid copper. And then here we have the Underwood. You can see the Underwood is pretty deep inside of the 5th board. It's actually flush with the surface here, and the Buffalo Bore is sticking out. So the Underwood penetrated slightly better than the Buffalo Bore hard cast. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull these bullets out of the wood, and we're going to weigh them and see what kind of weight retention we got. We're going to take some measurements, so stay tuned. All right, guys, so I pulled the bullets out of the wood, and I'm ready to check for weight retention. So I'm going to start with the 265 grain Lehigh Defense solid copper bullet that's loaded by Buffalo Bore, and you can see it didn't deform at all. and just these scratch marks that you see are from me trying to pull it out of the wood, okay, but it didn't deform its shape whatsoever, okay. So I'm gonna weigh it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna zero out the scale here, okay. Let me just zero the scale out. This way you guys can see that it's zeroed out and it's accurate, okay. You can see it says pass, that means it's zeroed out. All right, we'll just check it there, 100-gram weight. All right, perfect. So we're gonna weigh this bad boy, see what kind of weight retention we got. 265 grains, that's to be expected. And this one penetrated through 3.5 boards. And not bad performance out of this bullet here. The next one, this is the one that did the best. This was the Underwood 305 grain hard cast, and I've tested this one before in my first 44 Magnum penetration test. And what's really nice about these Underwood bullets is that they coat them with this red Teflon coating that protects your barrel from leading. And you can see that wide flat nose there. It looks pretty much like a perfect cylinder. Okay, you see how this bullet looks like it's like a perfect cylinder. You see that? And that's what you want for penetration. All right, this bullet's going to be very stable because it's perfectly straight. You know, so it's a decent bullet here. This is a decent bear defense bullet. Probably marginal for grizzly, but for black bear this would work. You know, but let's see what kind of weight retention we got here with this one. We got 279 grains. So we got 279 grains of weight retention out of this hard cast bullet. That's very good. It's a 305 grain bullet, so it lost 25 grains. And some of that could have been me actually prying it out of the wood here. You could see these plier marks in the base of the bullet here when I was trying to pull it out with my needle nose pliers. Okay, so that's the best performing bullet there, the Underwood ammo hard cast. Now we're moving on to the Buffalo Bore 305 grain. You could see it kept its shape. It didn't deform at all. All right, it's a nice round cylinder here. Okay, so let's see what kind of weight retention we got with this one. We got 290 grains of weight retention, so it actually retained more weight than the Underwood. That's very impressive. Okay, and just comparing these two together, you know, let's just look at them a little bit together here. You can see that the Buffalo Bore is slightly longer than the Underwood, and that could be because they're using more brittle hard cast alloy in their bullet, the Underwood bullet, and it's losing a little bit more of its nose. Okay, you could see the nose on the Underwood is a little bit, you could see it's kind of like pieces fractured off here around the nose there, okay, versus the Buffalo Bore, it's kind of rounded over. So that tells me that this bullet here on the left, the Buffalo Bore bullet, is maybe a little bit more malleable and it's not as brittle than the Underwood bullet. Okay, the Underwood bullet looks like it's losing a little bit more mass. Okay, so finally, the most interesting part of the test was these 300 grain soft points from Buffalo Bore, and they actually did not expand at all, which is very interesting. I'm gonna have to contact Buffalo Bore, but you could see these 305 grain soft points here, they did not expand whatsoever. Okay, and I don't know if that's because I'm using a snub nose revolver and it's not getting enough velocity for it to open up properly. You know, or if these are, I don't know if these bullets are made for 44 Magnum rifles or if they're made for 44 Magnum pistols, because I didn't get any expansion. And yeah, my snub nose 44 Magnum, you do get about, you know, 200 feet per second less on the velocity because it's such a short barrel. but it should still expand. So I'm just wondering what the minimum recommended velocity is for these. It looks like it's probably around 14 or 1500 feet per second, which means that these 300 grain buffalo bores would only expand out of a long barreled 44 Magnum or a 44 Magnum rifle. Okay, so I just wanted to let you guys know that so you don't go and buy these thinking they're going to expand out of your smaller barreled shorter barreled pistol. Okay, I guess what we'll do is we'll weigh them just to see the weight retention. 393 grains. Okay, so that's why it penetrated so much, because it didn't expand. All right, and here's the other one, also 293 grains. All right, so that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I highly recommend the Underwood ammo 305 grain bear load for black bears, medium-sized black bears. The buffalo bore is good as well, the 305 grain hard cast buffalo bore. I don't recommend the 265 grain bullet. It's better than, you know, a soft point. But if you're going to spend the money, you're better off just getting a hard cast bullet. It penetrates deeper and it stays in a straight line better. You know, so, and for grizzly, 44 Magnum is marginal for grizzly. It will potentially work, but, you know, it's not as guaranteed as if you went up to like a higher powered revolver. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere.